Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Welcome to an edition of Talk Business with Audrey. It has been a minute since I've been in this seat, but listen, back here nonetheless, I'm excited. I am relaunching Talk Business with Audrey, so I'm happy to have my first guest back because it's been a minute. Mr. Rudolph Travis, I am so happy to be able to talk to him about what he has going on, something amazing. And it's so funny because he and I have been friends for a very long time. And he's an author. He's a political leader. He's an advocate. He is a Liberian-born American who has done great things, not only here in America, but also in Liberia. And he's on his way back tomorrow. And I said to him, we got to get you on. We got to get you on the show tomorrow before you leave, because I want you to tell people about, what's going on with the West Africa marketplace. And so before we get into what that actually is, I want you to kind of give people a little bit of history about the history of Liberia, because I don't think a lot of people know the history of Liberia. So if you can just share like the history, the relationship between Liberia and America as it pertains to our history.
Yes, Audrey, thanks for having me as your first guest. Come back. Thanks, very much. Appreciate it. Liberia has never been Africa.
Uh-oh, you're breaking up.
African independent.
You're breaking up some, and you sound kind of far away.
Okay. Go now.
Okay, that's better.
Okay. Again, Liberia is the first independent African republic. Back in the day when we were not allowed to do certain things in this country, some.
Oops. Look like we lost him, y'all. Look like we lost him, but
so
okay, I think he's coming back.
The trimmings of democracy. It has been a struggle for a long time, but it's the way back. And we're taking the opportunity now to go back there and work with the people, not only in Liberia, but in the sub-region that has about perhaps 250 million people. It comprises Nigeria, it has Guinea, Sierra Leone, the Ivory Coast, and Senegal. It's a huge land space, and there's a lot of opportunities there. And the West African marketplace is scheduled to bring about trade among African Americans, and it will allow us to do business across many without borders. Our theme is doing business without borders, and so you can stay in Georgia, in Virginia, where I live. You can stay in Liberia, you can stay in Guinea and stay on business. And there's a lot of opportunities.
So I know that you and I have talked in the past about a lot of things. And I know one of the things we talked about was some of the minerals and the raw materials that are so vast on the continent of Africa. For West Africa, what are some of the opportunities there as it pertains to raw minerals and just the opportunities that could come about because of like we used to talk about palm oil all the time. Talk about some of the raw materials or the minerals there that could possibly be opportunities not only for people in Africa, but also to become partners with people in America as well.
Certainly. Liberia and again the African continent is a lot of minerals. By others.
You're breaking up a little bit.
As Africans and African Americans have not taken advantage, or perhaps didn't have the information that those things were.
All right, we have a really bad connection. I hate that he keeps disconnecting. Something is going on.
There's timbers. Canada supplied the United States a lot of timbers. We have timbers there. We use timbers to build homes, turn them into lumbers. It can be manufactured right in Liberia and exported back to the United States for a higher profit.
One of the things with the pandemic and everything, there's a lot of development that was halted because of timbers, and so I don't know I don't know what that looks like, but I know that I'm here in Georgia, and there was a lot of development going on, but everything pretty much came to a screeching halt with the pandemic. So I feel like a lot of people want to know more about doing business in Liberia, but I feel like there is not any, not even just Liberia, in Africa in general. I feel like they feel like it's a lot of red tape. I think sometimes we look at what we see on the news and on TV, and we figure that there's nothing there. Now I know, because you and I have been friends for 20 something years, that there are opportunities there. And so timber is just one of them. Talk about like palm oil. I know, and we were talking before. There was something you told me that your wife, cassava, was it cassava? You told me
Yeah,
about.
cassava.
Yeah.
Yes, cassava. Cassava is produced. It's a tropical tuber crop. And it's eaten, consumed by over 500 million people across the world. And cassava is easily produced. It takes less fertilizer to have it to grow it. It can be turned into a cassava, like what you call uh, uh, French fries. Cassava can be used as cassava fries, and the texture is excellent, and it's available. But the food sector, with the inflation now, the food sector is an area that where opportunities lies. People have to eat every day, so the quest is to go and produce food, grow food. We can grow our own food. You heard with the war in Ukraine, Africans have problems not getting wheat from Ukraine. Ukraine is a tiny country uh, 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 compared to Africa, very tiny compared to Africa, and Africans and other countries had to get wheat from Ukraine, and there's opportunities there. You can use other greens. Corn, corn is eaten across Africa in most places. I think people call it some parts of Africa is called maize, and corn can be grown in 3 months. It's ready to go to
Let me
market.
ask you this. You said that Africa imports wheat from Ukraine. Now, Ukraine is a small country. Africa is a whole continent. Why do you think that there is wheat being, why do you think anything is imported into Africa? Because it's a continent, like the North American continent that we live on. It is a continent, but it's not a country. It's an actual continent. Why do you think that there are they have to import certain things like cassava, like why a wheat? Why would they have to import that into Africa when it actually it's a continent?
Yes, excellent question. Is People miss the priorities. Things that you can grow. We grow cash crops like rubber, like cocoa, like coffee, and we export it. And the edibles like tomatoes and okra and collard greens, and we don't grow enough. We don't grow enough rice, so we import rice, and it can be grown right in Africa. And like wheat can be grown right there. So these are the problems. It's policy kind of mismatch.
And okay, so that being said, I think that's the fear of a lot of people who want to come over and invest into the continent. Now, the Chinese don't have a problem investing nowhere. Like they feel like we can go and invest where we want to. But people here in America who may be thinking about coming over to invest in Africa, I think they feel like that it can't be done. Like there's a lot of red tape. And I'll give you a prime example. I have not been to Africa yet. I will be going there soon, but I haven't been there yet. But I remember going to St. Lucia, and I remember it was like they had a film festival, and we were there, and we talked to the government about partnering with the government and helping the people of St. Lucia get their content off the island. And when we were there, we had about 3 or 4 different meetings, and everybody was like, yes, yes, yes. And the minute we came back to the United States, everything just ceased, like everything just stopped. And so that was a government problem. Do you feel like the fact that it's a continent, but yet there are products and services that have been imported? Do you feel like that has a lot to do with the government there and how things are structured?
Well, yes, yes. I think the government has a lot to do with the daily life of its citizens. There's again policy mismatch where if the Chinese can grow rice and send us the finished product, it's easier not to grow it. And the Chinese and the Americans need coffee and cocoa to make chocolate. So okay, send us chocolate. Liberia has the largest rubber plantation on in the world, Firestone, where Firestone tires in
Yes.
Ohio, but Liberia does not have a factory to produce tires.
Wow.
So there's no value that is added to tire, to rubber. There's no value added to it. You just produce the latex and you ship it to the United States and they make tires. And of course, the last time I bought some tire, it cost me $150 each.
Wow. So if there was a manufacturing plant set up over, okay, so let me ask you this. That being said, if that's the largest rubber production in the country, in the world, right? Are
Yes.
the tires then made outside of the continent and then shipped back over for the cars? Is that how that's done?
Oh yes, yes. It's made. The rubber is produced. It's grown. It's the rubber. It's a tree. It's a tree. It grows, and they produce the latex, and they ship the latex out by ship to the United States and to other parts, and they produce tires, and the tires are sold elsewhere in the United States and in other parts of the world.
And so the
And
country that actually produced the most rubber in the continent that actually produced the most rubber in the world does not have a manufacturing facility to actually turn that rubber into products. So they give away, they don't give away, but they sell the latex. But
some
that could actually up the economic impact in the country if there was facilities to manufacture those rubber products. So why is that like not the goal?
Well, that should be the goal, but again, you have the media in our community, in the African American and the African communities across the world. It's like nothing is happening there. But why are the Chinese there? Why are the Americans there? Yesterday, Joe Biden spoke with the president of South Africa, and he said, they got 300 American companies in South Africa. None of those companies are African American owned. None.
Wow.
Do you think that they're there because they love the Africans? No, they're there because they're making money, a lot of money. So think about it. It's time for us to go to Africa and set up our own KFC, our own brand of KFC, and raise the poultry there, raise the chicken there, and that's our brand. And we can sell it across. Africa has almost 1 billion people.
Wow.
So
So that's like
it's
India,
it's
India with 1 billion people. So, but okay, so let's talk about how to do that because I feel like that's one of our hangups as African Americans here in the United States is that we don't understand the process and what it takes to actually go there and do business. Now, mind you, there are some people who are there doing business, but for the most of us, even people who have the capital to actually invest, it's the process I think that throws people off because they really don't know exactly what that looks like for them. Like, okay, if I'm going to go there and I'm going to make an investment, but all I see is like all this stuff on television and social media about all these things that's not going well. What's the process for that? Like, what are the steps that African Americans or anybody who want to go over there and invest in Africa? What does the process look like? Do they have to have certain documentation? Is it a lot of red tape to get through the government? Because I feel like a lot of times it's the government that's kind of hindering the process for people who say, you know what, I want to come over here and do something. And that kind of stops people because especially us, we don't like all that red tape. We want to be able to get to what we got to do in a very quick way. And then a lot of times when we bump into a whole lot of paperwork and red tape, it stops right there. So what's the process?
Yeah, okay. One, the first thing is the Commerce Department, the U.S. Embassy, the United States, with everything that is going on, has 54 embassies across Africa. So they're not in Africa because they love the Africans. They're there because of business. The embassies, and it has a commercial section. All the embassy have a commercial section. They are there to help American business, all Americans, African American, white Americans. they do webinars. A lot of webinars are done. I did during the pandemic, the height of the pandemic. I did a lot of webinars, and the Commerce Department is very helpful. There are numbers. Just go on the internet, call the Commerce Department. They will be very, very helpful. And anything you want to know, you can check the internet. You can Google it. You will find out things are not like before when people lie to you. People don't have to lie to you no more. You can find out things on your own these days. So we can't sit back and say, oh, that's what it said a long time ago, and we just go on by the same thing. You can find those things out yourself. And the Commerce Department they have programs, and our tax dollar is going to those programs, and we're not utilizing those programs. It's time to utilize them, and there's a lot of opportunities there.
I want to talk about land consumption because I know that I was talking to someone recently and I was telling them about the things that you have been doing there for so long, because Liberia is your home. And we were talking about land. And so when I mentioned that, it could be opportunities for you to buy land, people were excited about that. What is the process like for anybody to go over to I'm going to say Liberia because that's where you're from? What's the process if someone wants to go there and buy land to start a farm or to start to grow cocoa trees or rubber plant trees, or what's the process to purchase the land?
Well, the land situation in Liberia, I know a little more about Liberia than other parts of Africa, is not highly regulated. It's not highly regulated, and it can be troublesome. But there's a process where you can acquire land to do agricultural business. And again, Liberia being what it is from our past, our history, only people of African descent can become citizens of Liberia as it stands. Only people of African descent can become citizens of Liberia. It means, it sounds terrible.
So if there is, let's say for instance, I wanted to go to Liberia and I wanted to become a citizen of Liberia. Will I have a dual membership, a dual citizenship, or would I have to turn over my American citizenship?
No, you can have dual citizenship. They had a law too long ago where Liberia offers dual citizenship. So I can use that process myself. You can citizen of Liberia and citizen of the United States and citizen of many other countries if you choose to do that. Yes.
I remember meeting someone. I think you and I were in that meeting together. I think he was from Uganda. And remember he said, we can come over there and make you a Ugandan princess. And I was like, really? Like I could be royalty, like just like that. Was he from Uganda?
Yes, I remember when I was in Lawrenceville. Yeah, yes. Yes.
Uh-oh, you're breaking up again a little bit. Uh-oh, he lost. So he'll pop back in a second. So listen, the reason we're having this conversation today is because Travis is on his way back over to Liberia tomorrow. And he has decided to launch the West Africa Marketplace. And for this, so you had dropped off for a second. So I just kept talking because I knew you were going to pop back in. So I remember when we were in a meeting, I was in a meeting with Travis and another gentleman. He was from Uganda. And one of the things he said was, look, we can make you, I want to say he said a Ugandan princess. So he said something and I was just like, really? But I think that a lot of people are excited about, opportunities, but I think they need more education about what that actually looks like, because no one wants to throw away money. Right. And so we want to make sure that, what we're investing in is solid, and that we have the opportunity to grow and flourish as I assume that everybody on West Africa feel the same way. And so we have decided to, do this talk right now, but you have also decided to launch this marketplace. And he's been talking about this for a very long time. It's actually launched, and it's launched just in time for him to go to Liberia tomorrow. You leaving tomorrow?
Yes.
Tomorrow.
Yes.
So he's going there tomorrow. So you're going to be boots on the ground, and we're going to be doing more of these because we need to know exactly what opportunities are available. We need to know exactly who we need to talk to. I know you talked about going to the embassy and asking questions, but on the ground, you have the opportunity to report back to us like, here are some opportunity sectors that are available, and I think
Yes.
that's really, really exciting. So right now, what countries make up West Africa?
Basically, we have Sierra Leone is a neighbor to like to the I think the west of Liberia, Guinea to the north, and Ivory Coast to the east. And then you have gigantic Nigeria that has almost 175 million people. Then you have Ghana, it's in West Africa. Then you have Senegal, and you have Gabon, the Gambia. So West Africa perhaps has almost 300 million people,
Wow.
almost the size of the entire United States. Just West Africa has the population of the entire United States.
And I think that's
The West
what
African
fascinates me the
marketplace.
most. I think that's what fascinates me the most, because when I think about a continent, but I hear and I look at the news, I feel like it does us a disservice, and it kind of keeps us in the dark about the real opportunities that are there. Now, people know that Nigeria does not play, like they're about their business. They don't play with anybody. Anytime you speak about Nigeria, that's like, don't mess with a Nigerian. But they're about their business too, and I feel like that's the misconception that we have to put to bed, that you can't do business there. It's dangerous. It's nothing there. It's the sickness and disease there, and all of those things are pretty far from the truth. Would you agree?
Oh, 100%. I might not have much incentive to go back there if I fear disease. Surprisingly, the COVID that has not ended, like 1,000 people die per day still. COVID in the United States, more than a million, I think 30, 40,000 people die. In Africa, less than a million people die. So
Wow.
disease can happen anywhere, and it's just one of those things that we try to point fingers. To be honest, I be blunt. It's the white supremacy kind of mentality, and say it's bad over there, it's good over here, which is not the case. We saw you talk about Banana Republic. We saw 1/6, January 6th, what happened? The people did the same things where autocratic leaders uh, do the same thing in Africa, in parts of Africa. It happens, and democracy is not etched in stone that these things will not happen. These things happen. It can happen to the best of us.
What do you see? So we started this talk out talking about the West Africa marketplace. What's your vision for West Africa marketplace? What would you like to see happen with that?
Well, we like to see it grow. We like to expand it, and sometimes when we talk offline, we talk about, you know, if we can we build this stuff like Amazon, where anything, but we don't want to just sell Chinese product on the West African marketplace or sell. We want Africans and African American products to be sold on the African West African marketplace. We want our product to be on that marketplace. We want our financial product to be sold on our marketplace. The National Bank, Wells Fargo, I conduct business with a bank in Liberia. I just wire money from my account at home online to my account over there. So the same, we live in a digital world. It's not different over there. It's not different at all. It
And I
might be
and
a
I think,
little.
yeah,
Go
I'm
ahead.
sorry. Go ahead. No, you go ahead.
The digital world now is expanding, and you'd be surprised that more people utilize the social media and the other digital tools than the number of people that utilize those same thing in this country.
Now I know you're going over there tomorrow. How long will you be there, and what do you plan to accomplish while you're there?
Well, we trying to grow the business, tell people about the business. As you said, we will be doing interviews, and when I'm on in different sectors of the economy, we try to educate people about those sectors in the agriculture sector, in the mining sector, in the healthcare sector, in the banking sector. We like to talk about those things, and and Again, the viewers can always go online, call the American Embassy, Google the American Embassy, anywhere. They got consulate. If they don't have a consulate in Liberia per se, they got one in the region. You can call them and they will give you all the information you need because we have them there for a purpose, for America's economic interest, and that is our interest. So we have to utilize it as well. So again, we want to expand the West African marketplace to I hate to use the term, the Amazon of Africa. No. We want to expand it to be the West African marketplace that is serving the African population and the larger global population.
Now, just so we're clear, it's called West Africa Marketplace. But does that mean if anybody of other ethnic races who want to partake in being a part of this global movement that we're about to launch, is it open to everybody, or is it just open to Africans and African Americans?
Oh no, that's why it's online. It's a global. It's a doing business without border. It's open to anybody. Doing business without border. That's our tagline. Doing business without border. West Africa Marketplace, just the name. Wham.
Wham.
So
Wham. There
wham.
it is.
Wham. Go there, put your product on there, and the brick and mortar thing is becoming something of the past. It costs you less to get on Wham, and you don't have to get a rental lease from your landlord and pay thousands of dollars. You can get online today and start selling your product today. All the tools, all the tools to generate your income and to have your money go into your bank account is on Wham. Go on there and get yourself set up on Wham, and you can do business anywhere in the world.
I wanted to talk quickly about something that you told me about years ago, probably 10, 15 years. You said that there were salt mines in Liberia or in Africa on the west side. Tell us about the salt mines, because when I heard that, I'm like, salt mines? I had never heard of that before. Can you talk a little bit about that?
I heard. I'm not too familiar with it, but I heard in Ghana they have salt mine or rock salt. They produce it. They produce salt. I didn't know nothing about. Still don't know much about it. But yes, they do exist there.
See, those are the type of opportunities, y'all. Raw minerals, salt mines,
Yes,
palm
yes.
oil,
Palm
cocoa.
oil.
It's
Yes.
there. It's there. And I think what's exciting for me is the opportunity that you're going to be on the ground. You're going to be talking. You're going to be coming back to us, letting us know what opportunities are available, how to get involved, who you need to talk to, how to import, how to export. I think these are all good things, and bridging that gap and allowing us to do business without borders. So I'm excited about the work that you're about to take part in and to kick off. And I'm glad to be a part of that whole platform and bringing people the information via this show. So I'm excited about that.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me, and we look forward to growing Wham to make it the biggest platform doing business across border or doing business without border.
I know when you once ran for president of Liberia, and one of the things, I know you had a certain agenda. Do you think that, and I know you like politics, so do you think you would be, ever consider running again for something, or do you think you're just going to stay in this space right here where you are?
Let me just go back. I didn't run for president. I actually managed the campaign for the gentleman who was running for president, Dr. Moniba. I managed his campaign, and we worked on it together. I talked to you about it, and I managed his campaign. But what happened with him? But I do not plan to get myself involved in politics. I'm working on my second book. My book has to do with the similar things that WAM is involved with: integration, merger, federation of the African states and people across the globe. Let,
And
yes, let's get it together and make it grow and be the biggest economic engine for the African race, because we can't be just consumers. That's all we are. We go to the mall and we shop and we shop and we have it. No, no, we want to produce stuff. We want to produce stuff because the raw material you talked about earlier, they use the raw material to make the cell phone, to make the smartphones. And why don't our engineers who have the same the historically black universities and the other universities,
And right, and had the skill set to, and I think that's a good point. So if they're making the materials over there to actually go into these cell phones, there should be some kind of partnership where there are manufactured factories set up, so the African people can also profit from those sectors when they are so lucrative all around the world. Like I feel like, and I know that's going to be a lot. That's going to be a lot that we're going to learn as we move through this path. And I'm sure that once you get there, and hopefully we can get some of the leadership on with you to talk about what to do and how to do it, and answer some of the questions that you may not have right now, but moving forward that they can come on and answer the question, and also dispel some of the myths that we have about doing business in Liberia, moving to West Africa, moving to Africa in general, doing business without borders, because that's an issue. Like that is a true issue when it comes to doing business. It's the mindset about what we see on television and what we see on social media. And we have to dispel those things if we want to move forward and do the things that you're saying.
Yes, yes. I think those myths has to be dispelled, and it will be dispelled not only if the media say it, they doesn't exist anymore, because the media is never going to say that. We have to go and see. I'm taking this trip to go and see. I hadn't been to Africa for the last 17 years. I want to go back there and see what has happened, what changes have occurred. Until you go and see for yourself, you just be taking somebody saying, it's bad, it's bad, it's bad. They're not going to tell you it's good. When last you heard that the poor people are not poor anymore? Poor people, the poverty class remains. It has to be permanent. The poverty class in this country has to be permanent. There's no change.
Yeah. Well, I know that I have people that are interested in definitely on the real estate side, where as it pertains to land and investments there. So I have people that are just waiting for you to come back and tell us what that looks like. I'm sure we're going to have a bunch of people who wants to know more about the West African marketplace and how they can get involved with that. So it's there. And so everything, you're going to funnel everything through the West Africa marketplace as far as news and information and things like that. So you have one central location to go to, guys. If you're interested in finding out more, you got one central location to go through to find out more. He's leaving tomorrow. He'll be back as soon as he get down there and get settled. He's going to come back. He's going to tell us what we're doing. And he's going to be our eyes and ears and our boots on the ground in West Africa. He's going to travel to the countries in West Africa, so we'll know what's going on in Monrovia, what's going on in Sierra Leone, what's going on in Guinea, what's going on in Senegal. We want to know, so we'll know how to prepare us to go there and do business without borders, and also how to partner and collab with our brothers and sisters who are there with boots on the ground every day, all day, 24/7. So we'll understand like what that looks like. We don't have to take anybody's word for it, because we'll have a man on the ground. So that's pretty interesting and pretty cool.
Certainly. And let me just add one more thing. Besides our American embassy across Africa, African countries, the 54 African countries have their embassies in Washington, D.C. You can always pick up the phone and talk to somebody at one of those embassies and get the information you need.
All right. Well, thank you so much, sir. I am looking forward to hearing back from you. I want you to have a safe trip. I know you're going to do some great things over there, and I know you're going to bring us back some great information. So thank you for being on this show. And listen, we're going to make West Africa Marketplace one of the best in the world. And I'm glad you're going to go there and tell us what we need to do to make that happen.
Thank you very much, Audrey. Thank you for having me. Thanks.
You're very welcome. All right, listen, guys, thanks for tuning in. I will be back once he gets back in touch with me. We'll be back, and hopefully we'll have some leadership on board with us as well. So you guys stay tuned. Make sure to follow me on LinkedIn so you'll know when these streams go live and you can join in. I'll be back again next time. Until next time, my people. Until next time, make it a great day. Bye, y'all.
Welcome to Talk Business with Audrey. Hosted by Audrey Bell Carney.